Natalia.
And I'm Brian.
And we're the Daily Plant. Today we're going to be talking about moon cacti. Moon cacti are really common plants, but it's uncommonly known that they weren't designed to live for very long. That's because moon cacti are actually made up of two separate plants. You have the scion and the root base. The scion is the colored part that's at the top, and the root base is the green part that acts as the base. The problem is the scion doesn't have any chlorophyll, so that means it can't produce its own food. Therefore, when a scion is grafted onto a root base, it relies on the root base to feed it, and the root base over time can't keep up with the requirements of feeding both itself and the scion, and eventually both plants will die. It takes around a year or two for the plants to die this way, but because you don't know how old the plant was when you bought it, this could happen pretty quickly. When the time comes that the root base can no longer support itself and the scion, and you see signs that your plant is dying, you're going to want to regraft it, and that's what this video is going to show you how to do. To regraft the plant, all you're going to need is root base, the scion, a knife, a cleaning supply like isopropyl alcohol for the knife. You really want to make sure it's disinfected, and then you need a rubber band, some glue, some tape, and a plastic bag. So the last thing you might need if you're afraid of cacti spines like me are some gloves. So the first thing we're going to do is disinfect the knife. Okay, so next what you're going to want to do is cut off a small sliver of both the root base and the scion. It's important that you cut the sliver so that the plants will both be about the same size so that they can line up again. First, you're going to make sure if your scion has little other scions budding off of it, that you break off the ones that might get cut off. This is actually a way you can grow more scions, but we're not doing that today. Alright, that looks good. And since the sliver that I made on the root base was really small, I'm going to make another small sliver on the scion.
So the important thing we're going to want to remember here is that you're going to want to try to line up the vascular tissue of the root base as well as the scion. So as you can see, there's that white ring right in the middle, and that is the xylem of the plant, and that's responsible for moving water up to the top. So we're going to want to make sure that those are connected. That way the water can move from the root base up to the scion.
Alright, so now we're going to reattach the scion to the root base. And you're going to, like Brian said, want to line it up pretty well. How do you think that is?
I like that.
Okay. So this is where the plastic bag, rubber band, tape come in, and we're wearing gloves. Sucks.
I feel like you should take the gloves off for that part.
But I have to touch it, and I'm afraid to touch it.
That's fair. So, as Nat said, we do need to put a plastic bag over this, and that is because the vascular tissue of the scion and the root base are both exposed. So, we want to make sure that this thing doesn't dry out too quickly. We want to create a humid environment. However, like we say with anything that we put a plastic bag on, make sure not to stick it in direct sunlight because you're going to cook it, and make sure to leave a little bit of airflow at the bottom for gas exchange. Woo! So, now for a little bit of backstory. So, to give you more of a general idea of the actual plants we're working with, this top guy, the scion, is from the genus Gymnocalycium, and it's actually an Argentinian species of cactus, and originally they were green, but like we said, eventually the horticulturalists from Japan in the 1940s ended up breeding a version that lacked chlorophyll, exposing pigments such as yellow, red, purple, pink, and a bunch of other colors. So to keep it alive, what he did was he took it and grafted it onto a Hylotherium, which this is not, but if you actually do want to see a Hylotherium, dragon fruit are actually from that genus. Unfortunately, these guys aren't mature enough yet, so I haven't been able to graft it onto one of these, but when this guy probably dies, that's probably what we're going to end up doing. So the reason that he put it on a Hylotherium is because they actually have pretty similar light requirements. So unfortunately, because this plant does not have any chlorophyll, doesn't have a lot of pigment to protect harsh light from getting into the interior and burning it. So with that said, when you graft it onto a Hylotherium, make sure that you don't put it in direct sunlight because it's actually bad for this guy as well as for the actual dragonfruit base. So something else that's actually really interesting about these guys is that they're relatively controversial. So a lot of people don't like them because they consider them artificial, kind of in the same way that we color orchid flowers. And I agree that they do seem kind of artificial, but I think that they're a little bit cooler than that because what you have is a fully functioning parasitic plant, which are typically not very common in the plant world. So, in summary, owning one of these guys is actually a really cool way to highlight how parasites are extremely underrated, and I think that they add a really awesome new angle to your plant collection.
Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe for more plant content.
Woo.